For some times now, I've been experimenting with 3D sketching as part of my workflow. And what it is, basically, it's like drawing or sketching in a normal notebook, but in space. As you draw in space, you end up creating a 3D scene or a 3D object. And for me, it's all about experimentation, trying to keep it loose and focus on the idea over perfection. As when you usually get into a 3D model, it can feel a little lifeless, especially early on, as everything is gray, everything is kind of perfect. So for me, this approach kind of worked well. And the app I've been using the most is Feather 3D. And it's one of the many apps, well, one of the few apps that can do it. But for me, I think it's the easiest to learn and the most polished version of that workflow. So for now, this is the one I'll be focusing on. Feather is a very simple app. When you open it, when you open your drawing, you have your sketch front and centered, and you can move around just with one finger and pan, moving left, right, zooming with 2. On the top right, you have your drawing tools, like drawing, erase, also your layers to manage. And on the left, you have the tool settings, like the brush type, colors, pressure, and way more. And on the bottom, you have this that we'll go over a little later. So let's start a new drawing. My workflow in Feather is really simple, and how the app works is basically using drawing planes. Like, you can think of drawing plane like having a sheet of paper that you put in space, you draw on, and when you remove it, your line stays there. So let's say I draw one line now, I move around and I draw a face. If I rotate again, you can see that that line stays in place. I can delete my plane, or I can save it if I think I'm going back to it later, just by swiping there. Now it's saved, and I can hide it. And from there on, the workflow is pretty much draw, rotate, and repeat. To create a plane, another one, you draw, you erase it, and you move on to the next one. And by adding plane, it adds depth to your drawing, like making it feel like you're moving around your sketchbook. It's a bad cue, but bear with me. And as I say, it's bad, that for me, that's kind of the point of it. When I'm early in the process, I don't want to work with perfect shapes. That's why I love taking my drawings into my sketchbook, because I feel more free to explore, and maybe a bad line brings you to another idea. So for me, that's the challenge, but also the beauty of it. And if you'd like, you can tap on the pencil and create perfect line. But for me, that defeats the purpose of it. And by keeping it loose, I think the focus really stays on exploration. I draw on a new plane, and as I go, I add elements to the scene as the ideas come to my mind. And the thing is, it might feel slow at first, as if I were to draw that perspective into the, it would be something really fast. It's just a few lines. But the advantage I feel with 3D is that I'm not stuck with that one perspective, and just like everything in life, how you change perspective, you discover new elements, new things. And really, I feel there's something freeing about just being able to move inside your drawing. I often try to think of it like picking between playing a 2D game over a 3D game. And when I say 2D, I mostly mean platformer games like Mario, where sketching can feel a bit like this. You're trying to go fast, get one idea out, and be done with it. It's like trying to go from A to B as fast as you can. But when you're in 3D, it feels like playing your first open world game, where you kind of know where you want to go at first, but you often get lost into side quests. You might move around, see something, and you start focusing on just one part of your sketch. And that's okay, as it helps you bring life to it. And I know it starts looking messy, but you can start changing your brush. Like this one is flat, and you can use it to fill areas. And making everything feel a little more, let's not say polished, but clean. And for a few tips for that workflow, it's almost the same as drawing in 2D. First, it's try to have different line weights, as varying your line weight can really draw attention to some part of the drawings that you do want your viewer to focus on, but also adding depth, as thinner line just kind of brings some more life to your drawing. Another thing is, like I usually do this early and I already have one, it's to add elements that people can understand, just have some sort of scale. Like once you add a human figure, everything feels more real in a way. And I think adding like elements to the scene, like trees, vegetation, or other random elements, kind of bring more life to it. It makes it feel more like a real space. And also to add more depth, it can be interesting to add shading and shadow, as every new layer you add to a sketch often makes it feel more alive. And I know it might feel and seem a little tedious, but in a way, I feel like that's what I like about the process. And everything right now is trying to help you go faster. Just having some things that slows you down, allow you to be more present and often explore more ideas, as you're not rushing to the end. You're just exploring. And the shading just took a few time to edit. If I wanted, there's an option in the app where I can select some faces, make them work with light, and it would do it automatically for me. And I can even add the same ground shadow I have and have a more accurate shadow representation. But I think early on, like, just keeping everything loose and following your guts just makes more sense. And that's the reason when I sketch, I just try to keep everything a little loose. Another thing, it's your drawing. And just like you would in any software, like especially in 3D, it's okay to copy. I don't see it as a cheat. And everything that can help you go a little faster. I was just talking about going slower, but sometimes you just want to see something, so going faster is okay also. It's like playing with your rhythm. Sometimes you want to go fast, sometimes you want to go slow. Not everything needs to be like just one pace. Just follow your flow and how things come to your mind. And by keeping everything loose, I think it just feels more alive than trying to render this, especially early. And just lastly, my thoughts about it. I do find that looking at my lines like this, a little loose and messy, is more inspiring than opening a 3D model and having a perfect shape. Early in the design process, being free and loose is often how you discover your best ideas. And as most of us familiar with our drawing style, being able to take it into 3D really adds another layer and dimension, if I might say it, to your process. Also, a loose sketch is more open to interpretation. I often feel like when I bring a render to someone, it feels like, here, this is your final, this is what it will look like, and the conversation often gets a little shallow, where we all might talk about, like, I would like this color over this, I would like this finish over this, but we don't really talk about the essence of the design. But when you bring in a sketch, most people have their own interpretation of it, and the conversation often gets a little deeper and more interesting. And lastly, if you're on Windows or Android, you can try Blender, which I was able to get an experimental port of an older version. And on it, if you open a 2D animation preset, pick your pen, you can start sketching and drawing right away, just like you would in Feather. Here the little difference is that you don't have drawing planes, but you do draw in space. And if you move around, you can see that your drawing is kind of floating. And I won't dive into Blender in this video, but if you'd like, I can go over it in a different one.